Hello and welcome. In this video, we shall be making a complete navbar using HTML and CSS. This is the navbar that we are going to replicate by using inline CSS and the concepts that we have learned already. Here we have a very simple navbar. There are no advanced features. The only feature I have added is a hover effect. When you move your mouse over the links, you can see that their color changes to a shade of blue to indicate they are being hovered. However, all the concepts used in this video have not been covered yet. This, this is going to be one of the most difficult projects we have covered so far. And the reason I am going to such a complicated type of project is because I want to give you a feel for CSS. I just want to kind of show you how CSS works. So you need to stay relaxed, just copy my code and we will be okay. Let's go ahead and open VS Code. I have already opened a Navbar folder here. I am going to create a new index.html file. Index.html. We are going to generate a structure. I am going to call that HTML Navbar. You might note that I guess I sound like a clown, I guess, because I am trying to learn British accent and right now my accent is pretty much mixed up. Anyway, let's go ahead and we are going to create the HTML structure for the navbar. Let's click go live. I am going to close my existing navbar and here we are going to start coding. So first of all, we are going to create our HTML structure required for the CSS. Let's begin by using a new tag called nav. Inside, we are going to create yet another tag called UL. We want to create our navbar as a list of links. Therefore, we are going to use a UL on an unordered list. Inside, we are going to create 4 links li, and inside of the li we are going to put a link. I am going to name this one index.html and call that home. Similarly, we are going to create, let's say, about.html, contact.html, contact, and finally let's call this one projects. So projects.html. Let's refresh once. Our list is rendered here and we are going to apply CSS on it to style that into a navbar. First of all, before we can start applying CSS styles, we need to add classes on our navbar so we can target that through CSS. So let's go ahead and I am going to begin by adding a class called navbar on the nav tag, navbar with a lowercase n. Let's go to UL and this one I am going to give a class of nav-list. Let's go ahead and now I want to add the same class onto 4 different li tags. I can just continue typing each individually. However, I don't need to do that. I can type all 4 at once, and the way you do it in VS Code is by holding down the Alt key, Alt next to Windows, and if you are on Mac, I don't know, just look next to the Control key, press Alt and click to create multiple cursors. Let's create a third cursor and a fourth one, and now we can just press space and type inside all of them at once. Here I am going to add a new class called navlink. Next we are going to go there, similarly press Alt and then click to create additional cursors. I am going to add a class and name that nav link, and this one I am going to rename to nav item because those are hyperlinks, those are list items. And we can simply press Alt again and double click to select all of them at once. I am going to rename that to nav dash item, and there we go. So far it's pretty simple. We haven't done anything extraordinary. We have just created a new tag called nav, given that a class, and then we created a list with a tags, hyperlink tags inside each item. And now if we go back to our browser, nothing has changed, but we are ready to start applying CSS. So let's go ahead and create a style tag. Don't worry about my voice, I'm just going to drop some random bars around here. I told you I'm trying to learn something. Anyway, let's begin by applying this style. First of all, we are going to place an static, and static means select everything. We need to apply some styles on all the tags on the page. The styles we are going to apply are, first of all, we have this style, this, and this. And basically, think of these three like a reset. We want to apply our own styles on all those tags. However, the browser is going to apply its own style, the user's client configuration is going to apply its own style. If you look at the same page in Firefox, you look at the same page in Microsoft Edge, you look at the same page in Google Chrome, there will be several differences. You will not be able to tell them out, but when we go and apply advanced CSS, this can cause some problems in cross-browser compatibility. Therefore, by applying this code, we are resetting all elements to a general state. Now I am going to add another attribute, font family, and there we go. Basically, we change the font style of the page. Currently, this is written in our default font. We are changing this style so it appears in the same font on all browsers. Let's save. And you might not note anything extraordinary, but the font has changed so slightly. If you look closely, you can see a difference. So we are just switching to a better font, and now let's move on and start applying our navbar's styling. Let's begin with dot to target the class navbar, and here I am going to add padding, and I am going to add a padding of 0.6 RAM, and this just adds a slight spacing from all sides. If we remove that, the spacing is removed and the links are back complete to the edge. We need some little spacing so the links stand out. I am going to add the spacing back at a height similar to how we added heights on images, and I am going to give it a height of 30 pixel. We cannot see it right now, but we would be able to see it after I add a border. 1px solid black. Save. Yep, it's too little. I'm going to change that to 60 pixel. I think it's much better. I'm going to change that to 2 pixel and just slightly make it just slightly lighter. Just no attention to detail. Let's move that here. This would look better once we're done with other tags. Now let's move on to nav-list dot to select the class nav-list, and here the first thing that we need to apply is list style. So what exactly is list style? Let me go back and remove these three lines, and let me remove that as well. Oh, oops. And there we go. As you can see, once we create a UL, the browser automatically adds those dots to the start of our LIs. However, we don't want those dots, so we are going to add this list style known to hide them. Previously, even though we hadn't added list style, we have removed all margin and padding, forcing those dots to get out of screen. Those were just sucked out of the screen due to having no space to be rendered. However, we are going to remove them explicitly by adding list style known. Let's add those back. Don't worry about that, just remember that we can press Ctrl plus slash to enable or disable a section of code. Here we go. And okay, I am going to add another attribute called display flex. And display flex simply converts all the elements to appear in a row. At the moment they are appearing on top of each other. However, we want them in a row, therefore we are going to add display flags so they appear in a single row. Next, I am going to add some spacing again. Gap, let's set 24 pixel. There we go. Some space is now added. And I am also going to add some additional padding. I am going to remove that from RAM and instead give a padding of 16 pixel and 24 pixel. And what it does is it's going to apply a padding of 16 pixel from left and right and 24 pixel from top and bottom. Just remember that we are not ready to learn it yet. We are just practicing like we see it. And also, oh, I have all the colors noted down. I'm just going to copy paste them. We have our border color, which is this. Here we go. And next we are going to start applying some styles on our links. Let's go ahead. We don't need to apply any styles on nav-item right now. Let's apply styles on nav-link first. So dot to target the class nav-link. I am going to add, first of all, I am going to add a font size of 16 pixel. We are simply increasing the size of their text. If I remove that, note that the A tags get slightly smaller. If I add that back, they get just a little bigger. I guess it's not possible to observe. The next thing we're going to add is text decoration. And this basically removes, wait a minute, wait a minute. Yep. I just reloaded that. Anyway, text decoration simply remove this underline from below them. If I add it back, the underline would be added here, but we don't want it. We are going to remove this underline. Next, I am going to change its color, not font colors, color to this. You can just copy paste all those colors or you can try to come up with your own. There we go. It's pretty simple. Great. I am going to remove the height from here. I don't think it's needed anymore. And there we go. We are almost done, but we still need to add our hover effect. So once we move our mouse over the links, they would turn blue. So to add our hover effect, I am going to target .nav-link again, and then I am going to type colon, and then I am going to type hover. And basically we are saying that when the mouse comes over the nav-link, then apply those styles. And here I am going to change the color to, where is it? This 2563 EB. This is just a dark shade of blue. And now once I move my mouse over the link, it's going to turn blue. Next, we are going to apply some more polishing. I am going to go target the body tag, and I am going to apply this background. We are going to use the background color property, and I am going to change the color to this. It's a very light gray that makes our navbar stand out. Next, we are going to change our navbar and change its background to solid white. Now this might not be noticeable at first glance, but this is what makes a designer stand out. By applying these simple tricks, you make your project look polished. And just to mention that we have another trick that we're going to apply. Basically, we are going to go to nav-link, and here I am going to say transition, not transform, transition 0.2s is color. So what is that? Basically, the transition attribute tells the CSS to animate a single attribute when it changes. Basically, once we bring our mouse over this link, its color changes to blue. If we remove that, the color changes immediately. The second we bring our mouse over this link, it immediately changes to blue. But by applying this transition, we are telling it to animate this color change by taking 0.2 seconds to change this. We can see this much more clearly by changing it to a bigger value like 5 seconds. And now if I bring my mouse over it, look at the color change. Look how slowly it's changing. I am going to change it back to a small value like 0.2 seconds. And again, this might not even be noticeable, but it gives kind of a relaxed feeling to whoever is using your system. And again, it makes your design look polished. So that's it, our navbar is done. I am going to review everything quickly. First of all, we applied this code to reset the entire styling for this page, and then we applied this font family. If we remove that, we are going to be stuck with the default font, and then this one looks much more clean and professional. Therefore, we are going to change our font family to this. There are three different fonts. We are saying that we want to use the Arial font, but if this is not available, we are going to use this one. And even if this one isn't available either, then we are going to default to this one. This way, if our code is being executed on a Mac, on a Linux, etc., and they don't have Arial font available, they would still be able to view that polished font that we are seeing over there. Next, we applied this slight gray color to our body. Next, we applied a white background to our navbar. We gave it some spacing. We gave it a light border that you can see over here. We then removed uh, our dots that appear before the list. If I comment that out just to show you, this is going to add those dots back. However, we want them removed, therefore we are going to use list style known to remove them. We placed our list items in a single row and we added this property to add the gap between them. Otherwise, if I remove this gap, they would simply be stuck together. I am going to add it back. Finally, we applied our link by giving it a larger font size. You can increase it if you want. If you have bigger fonts, for example, you might go to 24 pixels and it's going to appear much larger. I'm going to switch back to 16 pixel for now. Next, we remove the underlines and then we gave it a slightly gray color. We, by default, it uses a black color which looks like this, and by giving it a gray color, it integrates much more nicely with a slight gray background and looks much more polished. Then we added this. I don't even know if you can see this, but this animates this color change. And finally, we told CSS to change the color to blue when we bring our mouse over this element. There are other options here other than hover. As an example, we might use selected, not selected, I guess it's focus. Yep, that's focus, which is basically going to apply the same style when we use tab keys to focus a link, like this. For now, we are going to stick with hover, and that's it. Our nav bar is complete.